Nimrod Season Pass just came out. It's a very interesting card. I wanted to go over the 3 decks that I created and that have performed for me quite well. I've been playing Nimrod a lot for about 4 hours, mostly battling against Cozy, as well as a few ladder games. Now these are just fun day 1 decks that you can try. I'm gonna start with this Nimrod Venom Arnim deck. Nimrod does really benefit off of Destroy because when he's destroyed, you copy it to another location. So the natural fit is like Destroy decks. Using stuff like Carnage, Venom, Deathlock, and Arnim Zola are going to be very common. I think also Galactus is going to kind of be a thing. Turn 6 Galactus kind of becomes okay, but we'll talk about that later. I do want to preface with if you're seeing a lot of these 4 cards, you might have a frustrating time. I think it's still fun nonetheless, but Arrow can like move your cards when you're trying to destroy something. Cosmo can just cancel your destroy. Armor just cancels your eats, so it's very limiting. And Leech just cancels all your effects. And Leech Lockjaw being so prominent, I still think Leech Thanos Lockjaw decks are still going to be kind of the best. And then Arrow decks are good. Another thing that kind of messes these up a little bit depending on which build you're running is clutter decks. So I would mostly put these in a fun tier until the meta gets shuffled a little bit here, or I guess a balance patch comes out. But the idea for this deck is that we're running a normal destroy package and kind of just fitting Nimrod in there. So our big Giga combo is maybe doing something like Psylocke or Wave into Nimrod on 4. That means on turn 5, you could do Venom, and then on turn 6, you can follow that up with an Arnim Zola, which will kill your Venom. Your Venom that's what you want to be your target. Your Venoms are then gonna die, go into the other lanes, and then eat those Nimrods. And then those Nimrods are just gonna spread everywhere, and your Venom's just gonna get massive, and you're gonna have a ton of power on every single lane. That's the dream here. And so in order to support that package, we have Death, because we're expecting other Nimrods. Maybe Death ends up being quite discounted. Maybe you just throw her in your Venom lane so that you can eat more things. You know, it's nice if you wave on turn 5. You could maybe, you know, just not Arnim Zola. You can do wave on 5 with maybe like a Bucky and then just like Venom and Death or something like that. Whatever you got to do depending on the situation that you're faced with. But yeah, something like Hood on 1, Bucky on 2, Carnage on 3, maybe Demon and Venom on 4. On 5, hopefully you can Nimrod. On 6, you can play Arnim Zola. Or maybe on 6, you didn't draw Arnim Zola, but you still had Nimrod on the board by 5. That means on 6, you can do something like Venom and Deathlock. That's also really fun in an alternative win con. Maybe a little less predictable than the Arnim Zola line. Played this deck on ladder. It did okay. I went positive cube win rate, but I also didn't face any Leech, and I didn't see any like Cosmo or anything like that. Somehow, luckily, played against Cozy. This deck did pretty good as well. All right, this next deck is called Just Add Nimrod. It's basically just a deck where you're trying to buff up your Nimrod. You build a huge Nimrod, and then you just spread them everywhere. We do have Shuri in here because you could Shuri on 4 and then Nimrod on 5. I know a lot of people don't like Shuri or just don't have Shuri. I think like less than 30% of people have Shuri. If you don't have Shuri, something like Nakia might be interesting because it can land on your Nimrod or it can land on your Hulkbuster. But the idea here is maybe you do something like Shuri on 4, Nimrod on 5, and then on 6, you can Hulkbuster your Nimrod to make it larger, and then you can Venom it, and then it's going to spread to the other lanes while keeping the power in its main lane. So if you do that exact line, Nimrod's going to be 14 power. With Venom, you're going to have a 15 power in one lane, and then you're going to have 14 power in 2 other lanes. Another thing you can do instead of the Hulkbuster is Deathlock, a classic Nimrod into Deathlock Venom, or Venom and then Deathlock. You know, I digress. Either of those lines are great. We do have Sarah in here because that means you could Sarah on 5, and then on 6, you could do something like Forge Nimrod Carnage. That's pretty fun. Or you could just do Nimrod Deathlock or Nimrod Venom at that point. We do have Destroyer just as a last-ditch effort. Maybe you didn't draw your other Destroys, or maybe the board just looks great so that you can Destroyer it. Maybe something like an Arnim might be okay there. But if you are seeing a bunch of Leeches, you know, playing Destroyer Leeched is not too bad. All right, this last one is a Galactus build. I think the ultimate list is still just going to be a null Galactus list, probably sans Nimrod. I also realize this one is quite expensive because it does run King. So feel free to drop King, and instead you can put something like a null, which is also expensive, or even just something like a Death. Maybe you end up Galactusing early and then you play Death on the final turn. But the idea here is that you're not going to actually Galactus early. Well, sometimes you will. The dream is to get Nimrod out early on a separate lane, something on the left. That way he spreads a little bit more. But something like getting your Wolverine on the board, into Shuri, into Nimrod on the far left, and then Galactus on your rightmost lane is the best thing, because when Galactus starts destroying the lanes, which go left to right, you're going to get 2 big Nimrods on your right lane, putting like 22-ish power, maybe a little bit more because your Wolverine jumps over, or maybe you also popped your Nova, and then you just get a big finishing lane that hopefully can, you know, do better than your opponent. You have to be careful about Arrow here. Again, Arrow and Leech kind of just destroy this. In those cases, I guess you're just hoping to like Sandman into Destroyer, which is another one of the lines here. You could just Electro or Wave into Nimrod, into Sandman, into Destroyer, or vice versa. Maybe you get Sandman out early so your opponent has less turns to play multiple cards. So you can do like Electro, Sandman, Nimrod, Destroyer, or Electro, Sandman, Nimrod, Galactus is also another good line. If you don't have Shuri, just off the top of my head, something like a Forge seems like it'd probably do okay, just to juice up your Nimrod a little bit more. But of all of these, this was definitely my favorite list. I think Galactus decks are better without Nimrod. So far, honestly, a little bit disappointed with Nimrod. There are some fun meme things you could do. He opens up a lot of these more fun archetypes, but as far as competitive viability, I don't see it just yet, which it is early to say. Card just came out 4.5 hours ago. But those are my early impressions. But yeah, I was having a lot of fun with all 3 of these. It's really fun to see Nimrod just constantly exploding and going everywhere. Also, keep in mind, like, locations. Nimrod can be played into some really good locations, like Altar or Rickety Bridge gets actually wild. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy Nimrod. Thanks for watching. Good luck on ladder and stay hydrated. Okay. It's happening. Not Polaris. What? Okay, we're gonna do Venom. We're gonna eat the Nimrods. They are gonna go in the other lanes. We could do that. And then we're gonna Arnim the Venom. It's actually fine. This works. This kind of works a little bit. So we do Bucky here, Nova here. No. Dude, he's ruining my life. Oh my God. I'm not gonna be able to do it. And then I have priority. Titania's ruined me. I'm having issues with board space, and Titania doesn't go back. This will be interesting. What? It worked. So this is kind of the dream, aside from we don't have Arnim, but we can keep making more Nimrods. Oh, okay, that's fine. Please don't. Oh. Okay, we do not have priority. He could ruin me here, possibly. Oh. Pretty good. Then I'm getting juiced up. And maybe I top deck Arnim? The dream?
Enough said, bub.
Just kidding, he went mid. We can go Bucky, Psylocke, Carnage. You know what? And Psylocke over here is just so that the Lizard deactivates, so I have a good chance of winning here, because Nimrod will go right. It's gotta be Cerebral Mystique, right? Did I do a good play? Oh my God, I think I did. Oh, if we hadn't played it, the Lizard